Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to our Europa Universalis 4 beginner introductory tutorial slash walkthrough, whatever you want to think of it as, with RedBstrd as Delhi. Delhi isn't a common nation that people play as starters, but I think it's kind of neat. And there's some good things about our country. One thing that's really nice is that we have some cores inside of other nearby countries, so we can beat them up right away and try to take those cores back. So we can expand rapidly, and that's fun to do. So I like Delhi so far. Not the most powerful nation in the world, but we're quickly becoming one of the stronger nations in northern India, and that's kind of nice. Okay, so when we click on another nation, we can also see who they're at war with, and whether they're winning or losing that war. So we can see that the Timurids are at war right now with Nogai, and their war score is +19, and it's listed in green, so we know that they are winning that war. If they were losing it, it would be negative before the number, and it would be in red, those numbers would be. And if we want to find out even more information about the war and what it's being fought over, we can click on Diplomacy. And we can see that they're on the attacking side against the nation of Nogai, who we can't even see on the map. And it's actually the Kazani conquest of Nogai, rather than the Timurids. So, Timurids are allied to a nation Kazan, which we haven't discovered on our maps, and Kazan is beating up on Nogai and asks the Timurids to help them out, and the Timurids have agreed. So, we don't know where they are. I mean, our country doesn't, but it's actually up here. Nogai is on the northern and eastern side of the Caspian Sea here, and then Kazan is right above them if you follow the Volga River up. I actually lived in Kazan at one point when I was studying Russian. Actually, at 2 points when I was studying Russian. It's kind of a neat place. That you probably don't need to know, but that's your trivia of the moment. Okay, so what are we doing right now? Well, we're trying to keep an eye on what Timurids is up to, because if they're totally preoccupied, they might not make good on that promise to intervene in wars that we have. So we could potentially try to invade Multan. We could just check here, like, are the Timurids going to join in? They got a green check mark, they are going to. Note that is not the only reason why we might want to refrain from attacking Multan. Multan is allied to Jampur, they're allied to Sind, and they're allied to Nagaur. So if we invaded them, we'd have to fight on 2 fronts at the same time. And that could be very difficult to do. It could be costly and hard. So we're just going to move our troops somewhere else and plan out a different method of expansion. One that involves pushing south into Dundar. And why south? Well, we can't expand into our ally here. But before we do that, we've got a freed up map. Let's try to get closer relations with our allies. So let's start with Baluchistan. There's certain things that we can do to make them like us more. First of all, we can grant them rights to move their troops through our country if they need to. We can offer them military access. And they could actually station troops in there. If they wanted to invade Multan, for instance, they could get access to move their troops around and attack them from 2 sides. And if we offer them that and they accept, their opinion of us increases by 10. I just want to take a second to make sure everything is going alright with the recording. And again, sorry if the visuals bug out when I do that. It's not something I'm doing wrong or something I can change. That's just how the game is coded at the moment. And Timurids have ended their war. So they have a truce with Nogai, so we can assume Nogai still exists. but we don't know exactly the terms. If we wanted to find them out, at the bottom here, there was a log. It tells us information about what's going on in the world. We could open that up and scroll up until we see some information about that peace deal, if it tells us anything. And we could filter out certain things. I'm not sure if... Yeah, it's not going to tell us. There's too much going on. Okay, so that war's ended, but we're interested in increasing our relations with our friends. So let's give Maywat that same military access. And now our relationship is improved a little bit more. Let's do the same with Bengal. This guy doesn't have to travel very far, so this is really quick to do. And with Maywat, there's some other stuff that we can do to make them like us more. We could proclaim a guarantee over them. You don't have to be allied to a nation to do this. We could guarantee, for instance, Garwal here. Perhaps I don't want Jampur to be able to invade them. So I could just guarantee that if somebody attacks them, we'll come to their defense. Doesn't obligate us to join in their offensive wars or anything like that. Now we can do this on our allies as well. We're already obligated to help them if they're invaded. But this, if we do this, we are like double promising them. And if we didn't honor that, we would lose a lot of prestige. The world would respect us less. So that would make Maywat feel a lot more confident in the belief that we would come to their aid. So if we do that, it improves our relation with them 10 more. And remember, relations are on the scale of negative 200 to positive 200. So 161, they really like us. And we can sign a trade deal with them, where they agree to give us some amount of their trade power, so we make more money. And they actually do like us more if we do that, because they feel confident that we have a vested interest in ensuring their survival. And if we've done all those things, we still have more options available to us. So the nation of Ladakh has fabricated a claim on Kashmir. They did that because they were defeated in war by the Timurids, and the Timurids now has them as a vassal, that they serve the Timurids. And the Timurids don't like us, so Ladakh is cooperating with the Timurids' suggestions that they both consider this area as a possible means of expansion. Anyway, we're worried about butting up to our friends here. Again, we can only send one diplomat to each country per month. So we could send them a gift to make them like us. We just give money directly out of our treasury into their treasury. So you can use this in multiplayer to help out your friends. If you're going to transfer around money from a wealthy nation to a nation that is struggling economically. So we can give them 25 ducats out of our treasury. It's always in 25 ducat, 25 coin increments. And that will improve their opinion of us by 25 for the next 60 months. So are you sure you want to do that? Now we're at 196 out of 200. And why are we doing this? well, the higher relations you have, the more likely the nation is to join wars on your behalf and defend you if you're attacked. But also, if you're much more powerful than them, you can actually ask them through diplomacy alone to become your vassal. And that's what we're going to do with Maywat. Ask them to become our vassal. And they would agree. So Maywat has agreed. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And now we get half of their taxes, but they no longer have to send us trade power. And sometimes you'll see a weird icon up here that tells you that they're going to break their alliance with you. And that's just because if they're a vassal, they're your subject, and they're not allowed to have an alliance. So this is going to go away after a month or two. And we just might get an alert warning us of that. But don't get worried about it. Okay, and now we've been told that we are too powerful to be a valid rival of Multan. We're not, rivals competing for influence any longer. We've won that rivalry. So we're no longer allowed to embargo them. So we have to revoke that embargo. And we can pick a new. Let's see, where are we? We can pick a new rival. So we've got Jampur. And we could rival the Timurids. It shows us their opinion of us. They definitely dislike us. And their army is 114% stronger than ours. They have a large army. No navy. And they have no excuse because they have a ghost. And then we could pick another one. We could pick Maywar down here as a rival, if we wanted to. Although, they actually like us a little bit. They view us as a nation with potentially interests in common, because we both hated Multan, but that's going to go away. And they don't get along with Baluchistan, our ally. So as we say, and Europa Universalis 4, screw those guys. They're our rival. Again, why are we going to rival them? Well, again, it makes it easier for us to get alliances with their enemies, and we can embargo them. And when we embargo them, we get a little bit of power projection. And power projection, it tells us right then here in the green what that gives us. So the higher power projection, the more we stand up to our rivals, the more we overcome our rivals, or show that we're greater than them, like we've done with Multan. We eclipse them. We'll get more power projection. It's on a scale of 0 to 100. And if we have high power projection, we get trade power, our armies and navies fight better, we get some prestige every year, we get our forts to hold out longer, and we get legitimacy every year. And if our power projection is 25 or higher, we're allowed to have another general. So right now we're allowed to have up to 2 generals and or admirals leading our armies and or fleets. If we get our power projection high enough, we're allowed a 3rd one. So we could have potentially more effective military forces if we do that. And if we can get our power projection up to 50 or higher, then each month we would add an extra free administrative PowerPoint, diplomatic PowerPoint, and military PowerPoint. So that would be really nice. Now we've declared the Ottomans as our rival, and they don't like us at all, so let's embargo them as well to hurt their trade. It will upset them, but their very existence upsets us. And by the way, make fun of other nations, but I'm just role-playing for the sake of good viewership. Actually, Timurids are quite fun to play. And they get a lot of great missions to try expanding into India, and they could form the Mughal dynasty, which happens historically under one of the Timurid rulers. And now we need to figure out what we should be doing with our time. So what's our mission? Our mission is to conquer Sind Sagar, and I don't see a whole lot of opportunity for us to be able to do that at the moment. So we want only missions we can accomplish, or that we're going to do anyway, or that open up some new opportunities for us. Like this lets us attack Multan, but we're not going to be able to complete this mission anytime soon, unless something crazy happens. So I'm going to cancel it, and after a year, I'll pick a new one. What else are we going to do? Well, I would like to invade Dundar, because the only person willing to protect them is Mewar. And I can see 6,000 Dundari troops. If I look in the ledger, I can look in alphabetical order. We're looking for Mewar here. Mewar has 11,000 troops. So between the two of them, they have 17,000, we have 20. We should be able to take them in a fight. Let's check and see how long we've been recording. A little over 60 minutes. So we'll continue this war. We'll start this war off on this video. Alright, so declare war. Again, we're doing it on the 1st of the month. And we can see the effects if we declare this war. Our goal is to capture this province, and if we do so, we will get war score every month. Our piety will go up by 25, which is something we've been trying to increase. It's actually maxed out. We just want to keep it where it is. And we need some sort of reason for war. So we can take Shekhawati for ourselves, or we can take Shekhawati for Mewat, who has a claim on it, as they are a vassal. We can press the claims of our vassals through war. That tells us that our allies, Bengal and Baluchistan, would not join the war, because they don't owe us any favors. Our subjects will automatically join. And it warns us that Mewar would join on the enemy side. Now we could, if we intend to take things from Mewar as well in the war, we can mark them as a co-belligerent. And that would indicate we're telling the world that we would be trying to conquer them as well. And what that would allow them to do is call in their allies to defend them. In this case, Kathiawar, who has 4,000 troops. And they're automatically going to call in their vassal Hadoti, who's bringing 2,000 troops to the party. So they have 18,000 troops, we have 20, plus 6 from our vassals, who have 26. We still outnumber them. And I think we do want to do this, because if we don't declare them as a co-belligerent, and we try to take provinces from them in the peace deal, it will cost us twice as much war score, and it will upset everyone else twice as much. We'll look at that in greater detail. So Mewar, we're going to conquer you as well. We're going to move our army in. Dundar, and we can choose our path. If you want to go some way that it doesn't automatically intuit that you should be moving, you can hold down Shift and do it province by province. And we're going to send this army to capture Shekhawati, which is the war goal. And they retreated from that province to spare their army from destruction. And we've put down a siege. Now, we could try chasing them further if we wanted to. We can see we need 3 units of troops. And generally speaking, what you're going to need is, say there's 1,000 defenders because it's a capital. You will need 3 times that number. You need 3,000. If we have this army, this fort that has 2,000 defenders, they would need 6,000 troops. And once we have completed our fort here, if they wanted to capture our capital, we're going to have 3,000 troops, they would need 9,000. Let's leave 4 guys behind here. And we could advance. I see that they have armies that are converging over here. Jampur is fabricating claims on our territory. That's okay for the moment. Okay, we've captured the war goal. It had no fort, so it was very quick, just took 1 month. And we could see some information down here. We could see who's involved in the war, who's winning it, us, and how enthused the leader of the enemy's Dundar, in this case, is about the war. They got green, horse rearing to go. Their enthusiasm is high. They think they've still got a shot. And we look here, we could see we've got 26,000 troops versus their 23. A few casualties on our side as we're laying siege to a fort. And we can see current war score. War goal. The attacker, that's us, controls Shekhawati. At least 0.0 for now. But every month from now on, so on the 1st of March and every month after that, we'll be getting a little bit of war score from controlling that fort. Sorry, controlling that war goal. Let's move this army down to join up with our other one. And we're in a kind of good position here, because this terrain, where our troops are in highlands, easily defended. We can siege this province, this fort down, and we'll sit on essentially the mountain passes between there that they would have to fight through, or go all the way around. And we could signal to our allies or subjects that we'd like their armies to come down here and join up with us. And we could actually, as long as we have the downloadable content, we could issue further instructions to our subjects. We can go here to the main country view, to the subjects tab, and it lists the nations that are our subjects that serve us, how much they like us, how much money they're giving us, and how desirous they are of independence from us, how large their armies are in thousands, and we could set either for all of our subjects or for each one individually, we could tell them how we want them to be acting. So right now they're set to no focus. They decide their own strategies. We could tell them, we would like you to stick close to allies, like us, and avoid doing anything on your own. We could tell them, be aggressive, find the enemy, and engage in battle with him. We could tell them to stay in their own territory and just defend it. We can tell them to stay around our allied territory, the 3 of us. Or we could tell them, find enemy forts and try to capture those forts. We're going to tell them, work together. Again, we're going to tell them, work together. Let's signal to them. We would like you to come down here. They might not comply. But if the enemy tries to attack us, then they might respond. Might march down here to try helping us out. There's no guarantees, but you can give it a shot, see how it goes. And we've got a free diplomat, so let's just improve relations with our subject, make them happier with our relationship. And we can bide our time. We have the war goal, we're sieging down their capital. Time is on our side here. The only thing that is worrying, as we can see that we're losing some men here in this province. I can only support 13,000 men at the moment, and we have 16,000 there. So we'll be losing a few men each month. That's okay. And now that we've cored Kangra, we've lost all the overextension and all the penalties that brought with it. And we could extend state administration over them. So if we do, it'll cost us a little bit of money. That's going to lower this autonomy maximum down to 50. We can make them a full core, and it'll reduce it even further. So that's nice. And now once it's a full core, or actually once it's in a state, we could give it to one of our estates. We could give it to the emirs. If we wanted them to be more powerful and loyal, we could give it to our dhimmi, we could give it to our ulama. We really want cheaper technology. So let's give Kashmir to our dhimmi. And it tells us right here what effects that will have. They will become more loyal. They'll get a little bit more influence. And they ignore the autonomy when it comes to figuring out computing the taxes. So we're losing, because of autonomy, we're losing 46% of our taxes. If we give it to the dhimmi, or actually the ulama, they will pretend that that autonomy isn't there for the purposes of taxes. If we give it to the merchant guilds, who don't want it, they would ignore autonomy for the purposes of base production. And if we give it to our emirs or nobility, they would ignore the autonomy for the purposes of manpower. We're going to give it to the dhimmi, so we'll get more taxes out of it, and I see they will decrease the unrest there, because we're giving religious guarantees. We're not going to convert the population from Hinduism to Islam. And we can see they'll produce a third more taxes for us as well. That'll help our economy, and we lose all of the chance of missionary strength, minus 100%. We can't convert that province from its religion to our state religion. That's fine. And we can see instantly our tax money went up. And here, we're not getting any taxes. Let's give that to our dhimmi, and now we're getting a little bit of taxes. It's not a whole lot, and we can see that we're losing some because our troops in that province, when we were conquering it, were looting the wealth of the province. And it's going to take some time to recover economically from the ravages of war. And we have a new alert popping up. See how long this video has been going on? 20 minutes, so we're going to finish this thought and then we'll start a new video. So now we're told that we can invest in new technology of the diplomatic variety. So we've saved up sufficient points here with our diplomatic power that we could increase our diplomatic technology level from 3 to 4. And if we do so, we learn about the marketplace. We now have the option of building marketplaces in our country. And our merchants can operate further away from our home center of trade. Like, remember when we were looking around, we said maybe we could send a merchant here to push the trade goods of Lhasa to Kashmir, And then Hemorana, our merchant, would push them down here to where we collect them. Well, this would be a little bit closer in range. What happens if we do this? Well, we learn these new things. We have to spend all of the diplomatic power that this costs, 553 of our 561. And that tells us, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be ahead of time in technology for the next 4 years. You're ahead of schedule. You're not expected to know about the marketplace, how to organize those, for another 4 years. So, your trade income is going to go up by 20%. You're ahead of the curve, and that will help you be less corrupt. Great. And we can see this ahead of time thing here. We're 4 years ahead of time, plus 4 years, but that does make technology more expensive. If you try to get something when you're already ahead of time, the next level will become even more expensive. So that's going to take us quite a while. But we're empty. We need to save up a bunch more points to get to level 5 anyway. So that's going to take us more than 4 years anyway. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video there, and we'll start up a new one and continue our war.